Well, here we are. Hi, how
Happy,
are you?
happy lunch.
Happy lunch break. I think it's lunch break and all. We have a lot of people watching. Hello, Afton. Hello. Number of people I haven't seen before on our chat. I'm happy to be here. As you know, I'm Linda Kenny Baden, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Bryant, who's been covering a number of cases. Not only one we're watching, but the one we're watching is really quite exciting, isn't it, Michael
It's
Bryant?
something, early on people are like, it's a nothing case, there's very little injury, thank goodness. And it's just these spoiled, rap stars. And now all of a sudden it's kind of caught fire. And I think in part, it's not so much the legal issues, it's not so much the facts of the case, it's the personalities, both presenting the case, refuting the case, and testifying about the case. So yeah, I'm all in.
I,
So
I also I also think it's some really interesting lawyering. Like first of all, you have Paulie P, who is so likable, and we always say, and you always say, I should say, never underestimate the power of likability. You have Mr. Lewin, who we saw in the Robert Durst, who is a bulldog and at you, right at them all the time, and we have Joe Tacopino, who really has done yeoman's work, in my opinion, about the main witness, right? Because doesn't this case fall on the main witness, ASAP Relli?
Well, of course, I think, we knew early on he was going to be important. I'm not so sure we knew how important, but the case lives or dies with that guy. I don't care how many cops you get on to look at the video, to say what they do see or what they don't see. I think it's irrelevant. When I was talking to Neil Rockhyde, who was on last night in your stead as you were on assignment,
Thank you,
uh,
Neil.
he did a great job. But we were talking about, this. I used the teeter totter, but the balancing, right? And if when Relli took the stand, that teeter totter crashed to the ground, right? With the prosecution's case along the way. No matter what we hear beyond that, it's very tough to lift him off the ground again. So maybe Wally, and I think Lewin did a good job on the cross examination of Wally. I think he did. I think he went a little too far at times, but he made some great points. He tried to expose some bias because clearly Wally, if not trying to help Rocky, was certainly more favorable to him, maybe because he has a small business tie. He's getting like 20 grand a year in work from Rocky. I'm sure Relly's not giving him too much, but it's not lifting the load off the ground that Relli caused by his testimony. So same thing with the cop. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. I didn't see anything that got me too excited or changed my opinion. I just haven't seen it.
Hey, Missy, if you're on, could you let people on X know that we are on right now during the lunch hour speaking about this case, and come join us with all of our new friends that are here. And there was some, we, by the way, we should start out by saying we have reported and we stand by our reporting, Michael Bryant, that there was some issues in the courtroom. Do you want to fill everyone in?
Well, we talked yesterday about this nugget of information we learned through sources that we were comfortable in reporting, and as you say, we stick by. And that was that somewhere during the middle of the cross examination of Mr. Relli by Mr. Tacopina, the court suggested to the prosecution, perhaps I'm not so sure it's ethical to continue prosecuting this case, meaning that the judge's reaction to what he had seen so far didn't reflect well on the prosecution. We learned subsequent that at the end of the cross examination, again before redirect by Mr. Well, Paulie
Right,
P was
the recross at the end of the recross.
yes, I'm sorry, the recross at the end of the recross before the redirect. We heard that the judge again suggested to the prosecution that they should think about whether or not they want to continue to pursue this case. So that was a separate incident. It wasn't a twisting of the first. It was a second incident. If the first one was mid cross examination by Tacopina, this was at the end of cross examination by Mr. Tacopina. So
right. And we stand by our reporting. We stand by our sources. And for those that wish to attack us, well, why don't you suggest that the gag orders all be released, that the transcripts all be released, and we'll see who still stands up there on top, or whether this is maybe a little bit of like, I don't know. I won't say it.
yeah, I'm not going to go wandering around in the gutter. If folks want to
Yeah,
criticize, knock
they want
yourself
to
out. I don't
criticize.
care.
Yeah, absolutely knock yourself out, especially if you know us or we worked for you, or if you've had confidence in us. You know where Michael Bryant and I come from, and we stand by what we say because we're very honorable. We are not going to go in the gutter with you. We'll see who comes out later on at the end of all this, and
So,
who comes out at the end of all this. Speaking of who's coming, who do you think is winning right now? Before we go to a lot of questions we have in our chat, and when I say
are you
winning,
asking me
as
that
a
question?
yes, as a
Well,
prosecutor, and for everybody in
I,
our chat, what do you think the prosecution has borne their burden of proof so far?
this is a case, and again, Neil and I talked about it, and you and I have talked about it, where the directed verdict issue becomes, at the very least, something worth talking about. Quite often when the prosecution ends their presentation of their case, they rest. That's when the defense will step up, make a motion for a directed verdict. And the standard is so high. The court has to look at all of the case as presented by the prosecution and say, no reasonable juror could possibly find guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That standard is way, it's outside my screen here. It's that far up, which is why it's quite often denied, and it's done as much as anything else to protect the record for appeal. Fine. In this case, based on what we've learned, and the judge's concern over the validity and the ethical nature of the prosecution's case, that would be really a great result for the prosecution as well as the defense, because the
Now,
judge
why
would
do you say
effectively,
that? Why do you
well,
say
because
that?
if there are concerns about the ethical prosecution of this case, the best way to let the prosecution off the hook is to declare a directed verdict. The judge is then taking responsibility for the determination that the case had no merit, and the prosecution is going to avoid any sort of misconduct investigation or charges, which would especially be interesting if a conviction occurred, right? So
Right.
that's my thinking. I just think if there is a snowball's chance in hell of any directed verdict ever being happening, in this case, there's a snowball, but it's maybe 33 degrees. So it's maybe it's a little mushier in this case, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens when the prosecution rests and that motion is made.
Okay, so Che Lee, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I mispronounce names because it's amazing how you look at it and see based on your history or based on the languages you've taken. Is it Che? And I hope it's Lee or Leah. But whatever, please correct us. We're happy to be corrected when we know we're asking that question. But why are there no firing marks on the casings? And that would be the casings, I assume you're speaking about, that Relli, the two casings turned into the police days later.
That's very interesting, right? I mean, that's common. It's interesting though, because, and I haven't micro-examined these items, but it's not easy to get the bullet, which is the projectile end, or the powder out of the inside. You got to take it. You got to remove the top with pliers or something. To have a casing that has not been fired, or you have to have a casing that was never put together with the projectile and the gunpowder. Neither is very simple. So I'd have to know a lot more about these particular projectiles or the casings, and whether they were truly just minimal marks or absolutely no marks.
Well, and commenting with some, we just talked about Josh Schaub says the judge should do a directed verdict and dismiss this money sign ahead of the hit show. Okay. Very interesting. Another question we have here, Lee, another question, very interesting. Following this case, can a car that backfires sound like a shooting?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. In fact, sometimes when people hear a real gunshot for the first time, they don't even know what it is, because it sounds so different than people hear in films or on TV. It's a very different sound. Yeah, sure, a backfire could clearly sound like a shooting. Maybe that's why Relli originally reported 4 or 5 shots, or 3 or 4. He said 3, 4, or 5 initially. And then when he went back and found the casings, he said, "Oh, I guess it was 2." And when he heard the street recording, "Oh, yeah, I guess it was 2." To be honest, I don't know.
Was there some issue because he took pictures, 4 pictures, but they ended up being of just 2 casings?
Yeah, and he admitted that it was multiple pictures of the same casings. I don't fault the guy for misremembering that. If I've never been shot at or thought that I was being shot at, if it didn't really happen in this case. 2, 3, 4, I don't know, somebody shooting a gun at me, So I could understand that being a little unnerving. I don't
shining here. I'm
fault him for
sorry
that.
about that. Yeah, but I mean, if you're also, it can be unnerving if you're setting it up. I mean, the problem is that the inconsistencies could be because you're being shot at, or because you're setting up, as he says. If you got to set up the bag, okay, you better have a lawyer if you want the bag, because or else it's extortion. All right, remember that statement. All right, that's a
Yeah,
pretty
that's words
pretty
to live
biggie.
by. So that means let's play that game. Okay, so that means that he decides at some point whether there's been a shooting or not. He decides he's going to set up ASAP Rocky. Wouldn't you think if you were going to set him up and you only had two casings to plant, if that's what you did, that you would just report to the cops and others consistently that it was just two shots? That seems to be too dumb not to be consistent.
Wait a second.
Not to be
Wait a
too
second.
consistent with that element.
Wait. Did you watch him
Mm,
testify on the
yeah.
stand when you want to use the D word? Okay. And
Okay.
I don't mean to disparage him in any way, but let me put it this way. This was not the testimony I expected from a star witness, because I think actually he's very bright. I think he's very bright. I mean, if he did set this up.
Yeah, I think he's a little misguided, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he's. So that's why I'm getting at. If this was a master plan, then that seems like a dumb mistake to make in the master plan. I think it occurred. I think there may have been a shooting, whether it was a prop gun, whether it was whatever it was. Remember, there was no damage found in or around the area in which this shooting allegedly occurred, and we know there were no casings found by the cops, only by Relli. But if there was two shots fired into the air, maybe I mean, whatever they were, I don't think that's hard to believe. But was that the point at which Relli concocted this plan? Hey, I'm fine, I'm safe, but this son of a bitch shot at me, and I'm going to take advantage of the situation.
Or
That
he
could be it.
concocted it beforehand. I mean, because he does say on the tape before he had a chance to think it out, Rocky took out a gun for self-defense. He took out a gun for self-defense. I mean, it's on the tape,
Yeah.
for self-defense. So that means even if the jury believes that ASAP Rocky had a gun and maybe he shot it, he's given him the self-defense argument in the tape, and he never has to take the stand to allege it.
That's another thing we talked about. I don't know if Rocky's taking the stand has ever been a high likelihood. I think day by day it's become less and less likely.
Less needed.
Well, yeah, less needed. But I don't know what the point is.
Yeah. Now this is interesting. Relli said that he got. The reason why I'm going to point to this, Shaylee, is because all of you who watch me know that I have an addiction to iced Dunkin' Donuts mango tea. Okay, and coffee. This is their mango tea refreshment.
Is that caffeine free? That version?
No, no. It's got green tea. It's green tea in it, so it's going to have caffeine.
All right, just checking.
But Relli said that he got a brown bag and a pen from Dunkin' Donuts. I didn't know they gave pens; they never come in my bag. The officer said it was brought in a black bag. Which is it? Because Dunkin' Donuts uses white bags, and you are absolutely right about that.
They do. I don't have one here from yesterday, but they also do have a brownish bag. The recycled type of material. They're the brownish. They definitely don't have black.
No, but the brownish bags usually have the food, right? The food is in them. Like
yes, I don't get coffee, so yes, I've never I get a bagel.
Coffee.
I don't drink coffee.
The food is in the bread, but the stuff is in the white bag that you carry out. Those are in the white bags, and inside there may be that recycled material that the food is in. But the officer said it was brought in a black bag, which is because Dunkin' Donuts uses a white bag. So it's like when Relli was asked the question, and he said, "True. False, I don't know."
Just pick one.
And Joe Tacopino said, "Well, you got all three answers there, You got three answers there. Yes, we do."
Look at this. Look at this, Milo's mom. What about self-defense comment on recorded call yesterday? Do you think Tack think Tack feels he doesn't need it because I know he didn't miss it?
I think you're going to hear about it maybe in summation. If indeed you did think this happened, he's saying it's happened for self-defense. So which is it? It didn't happen. It did happen. It happened. It was self-defense. Which story is Relli trying to work his way around?
Here's one of the problems that we were talking about yesterday was the denial by Relli that was his voice on. Remember, Tacopino tried to bring those in on cross.
Right.
it's a two-person conversation, right? It's Wally and it's Relli. But if Relli can't provide the foundation for the phone call, they can't come in. So they were played, quietly to the witness, Relli. And this bothered me too as a tangent. The young woman who's helping with the tech, and she would bring the laptop up to the
Right.
stand. When he had heard enough, he would give her this. Take it away. I mean, just disrespectful little shit this guy is.
Oh,
So
geez, you used the word without the
yeah.
dollar sign before. I
Sorry,
said the
sorry.
dollar sign with
I
the
don't know
hand
how to
sign.
pronounce dollar sign. So that was an aside that just kind of annoyed me. So that's what happened twice. And when he denied that it was him, that's it. The defense cannot bring those in. But what do? You bring in the person who's on the other side of the conversation, which was Wally. So all of those conversations come in yesterday. My point is, Relli's already denied that it's him.
He said it was
So
AI. He said it was
it's
artificial intelligence.
he has locked himself in a box. There's no way, you could talk about, I was just mad about the whole thing. So I overreacted and I said these things out of anger. And I never, at least you got something. But to just say that wasn't me, that was AI, and then have the other person in the conversation verify it was you, you're sunk. And I don't care what else happens that bolsters Relli's opinion. That to me ends that discussion.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
totally unbelievable.
It's absolutely unbelievable, and maybe because somebody told him, "Hey, wait a second, you're on here saying, well, it's self-defense. You're on here talking about a bag for extortion. You're on here asking about $30 million. You're on here saying, like, I got my $30 million in cash. They're gonna have a hard time finding me on that island. They're gonna have a hard time proving without a victim. I mean, so what else is there but to say that's not me? This is artificial intelligence. So yes, you're absolutely right. People forget about that. Now, let's put that in the context of our reporting. That could a judge have said to the prosecution, "Are you sure you want to go forward on this evidence? Do you have an ethical duty to look at it under the ethics rules or something to that effect? Are you sure you want to go forward? If you look at it under those and you want to call our reporting false, I think maybe you have to review what you think." But let's go to this great question. Motion to scream.
I like
WTF
that motion to scream.
grant.
What's the WTF grant?
Are the prosecutors, I'm going to throw this to you, Michael Bryant, are the prosecutors trying to make the jury forget about Relli with these police witnesses?
Well, they're putting on their case. Certainly, they know Relli damaged them, but they could not make this jury forget Relli unless they gave them drugs. So it's not going to matter who is testifying. Relli is embedded in their cerebral cortex. That you can't forget that dude. You just can't.
Yeah, he threw a water bottle down yesterday.
Smart water. Was it
It was
smart
smart
water?
water. It was smart water.
Okay.
It was artificial intelligence water, I think.
I think it was vodka in that smart water.
Well, there was that rumor on the O.J. Simpson trial that F. Lee Bailey had vodka in his little thing there that he was drinking. Remember, you were there, Michael Bryant. You were in that
I can't
courtroom.
say I was close enough to smell it, but
Can you smell vodka? Is vodka
that case
smellable?
would drive
Drink,
anybody
though.
to drink, so it's possible.
Yeah. So anyhow, a motion to screen then follows it with a comment. Joe is winning in every way. Okay. All right. So there we go. Missy, I'm not sure what posted out. Oh, you did post it out there because I asked you to post it on. What I did is I asked our producer, Missy Mayhem, Marissa, to post on our Twitter account that we are now and not only standing by our reporting, but answering questions in this lunch break. And that's what we're doing right now. And so please, if you get that, please come to us. You can see that we are not afraid of anything. And if we invite anybody who questions our reporting to come on and join us, come on,
just have a conversation like adults.
Yeah, like adults. Don't hide behind the back. Don't say you're not speaking about us. Come on, you know who you are. If you want, I'll name your names, but we'll give you a chance to name yourself. Come on. Okay, Milo's mom. Question. All right, here we go again. That's right. We did answer that, okay, about the TAC question. He didn't miss it, okay? We know that. Now, I want to go Milo's mom with our answer to you that we know we didn't miss it. would you, if you were Mr. Tacopino, and I say Mr. Tacopino, we know him as attorneys. We've watched him. As you know, I teach with him once a year during a week, although we've never been in the same group, the same subgroup for students. Um, would you use it in closing? Think about it. Give us your answer in our comments sections, okay? Now, more. We have a lot of questions going on here. Afton, hi Afton, how are you today? A cop in my town thought he was being shot out because a car backfired. There we go. Right there we go.
Yeah,
Oh yes,
I think
right,
it's
right.
common. And shout out to Afton. I post on our members only stuff this bathroom that I'm DIYing, and she was nice enough to respond that some people are into that stuff, some people think it's annoying, but I'm doing it anyway. It's just kind of a nice side light. And Afton, the process continues. I'm getting some parts today, and I think I'm moving from the electrical to the plumbing. That was just for Afton. Okay.
Michael has been working so hard. He's been on the road that he has taken a couple of days off. I actually was in an 11-hour mediation yesterday doing my real lawyer work, so I had to go back last night and listen to all this stuff, all the trial, and also I've had about 2 hours sleep today, so just exhausting. But I wanted to make sure we were here and I was up on things. Again, thank you, Michael, and thank you, New York Times, for last night being on the air. Now, wasn't there also a cop recently? We covered one station, or maybe it was a news report. He thought he was being shot on because like the acorns or something from a tree fell down on a car, right? We've heard that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, Missy. There it is. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
To me, I have to say that sounds a little twitchy to me. I mean, I've got a lot of acorns. And by the way, you know what I learned this year? Because it seemed like acorns were falling like rain, and it hadn't been that way in the last few years. And my neighbor said that predicts a cold winter. And we've had a very cold winter this year.
I didn't know that.
Make a note of that. I just still can't believe an acorn falling, on a car would trigger literally somebody to start firing. That's might want to reconsider your job choices.
Yeah. So motion to scream, WTF granted. Rocky taking the stand seems crazy at this point, particularly the way. I'm sorry. Lou Warner, very clever, treated the one out of order defense witness. And that was
Wally.
That was Wally. I finally learned that Wally is spelled like Wally. In this
case,
it
was very tough to tell. Was it Wally, Walla? Yeah. So yeah, good old. I mean, Wally's not exactly an normal name. Hey, check this one out. Is there any confirmation on the statements made by the judge to the prosecution about the ethics of the case? I know there's been speculation on the internet. That's from Diabolita Beauty.
No, right? we stand by our reporting, and I guess we will see at the end of this case when there's gag orders lifted. There shouldn't have been a gag order in this case anyhow.
Of course not. Well, who asked for it?
The prosecutor.
Lou Weiner. Yes. Lou Weiner.
Yes, I wonder why. Why would you ask for it? I mean, he's certainly
what he
all
said,
over the place.
He's like, Joe Tacopino's been mean to me. He's being mean, Judge. He's being mean. And then they had a back and forth about each relative statements to the press, including DA Hochman, the new DA, his statement about the case. And that's an interesting point that came up yesterday. We're speculating about Lewins being parachuted into this case the first of the year. Well, remember, that's when Hochman took over. He took over December 1st. He's probably been reviewing cases coming up. There may have been under Gascon, better known now as Gascon, there may have been some speculation. He was all gung-ho for the case. And then Hochman comes in and is like, whoa, this case it's got some issues. We need, all respect to Pauly P., we need somebody a little more tenacious, a little more, bulldog-like. And that's, enter Lewin. I think that may be how it's played out. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I certainly invite Mr. Lewin to come on a show as soon as his gag order is lifted, and talk to us. Not just call me to come on the show. All right, so let's see. Law Amber, bodegas and gas stations. I assume that was gas stations. You type like I type. I can't type with my nails. You all know that. You've seen me try to type. It's bad. But
Weren't
they
you
get
weren't you in weren't you in the Karen Reed case? Haas long to die in this.
that'd be me.
Is that you?
That'd be me. That'd be me. That'd be
Okay.
their the guest typist. Bodegas and gas stations use black bags in my experience. Interesting.
You know why?
Why?
They're cheap. You buy them by the truckloads, and they're just the cheapest kind of bag. They even smell a little weird, like the processing is kind of, like it's giving off some sort of chemicals. But that's why you see them in those scenarios, bodegas and gas stations, and gas stations.
It has stations. Isabella, I love your outfit, Linda. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. I really appreciate this. Necklace was a gift. I know it's shining a little bit off the.
It is a little shiny. I need to put my sunglasses on.
It's reflecting the star. What can I say? It's reflecting you, the star.
Okay, that's what it is. Hey,
actually, it was reflecting Domino, who you don't know. But Domino has been in your background.
I did see him. I did. I always leave the door unlatched because otherwise he'll be just pawing at it. So I let him come in. He just, makes a visit and then disappears. Okay, watch this. This is, while you were doing some very important things, getting very busy. Let me see if I can share this with you because it was. I was out, out in the woods today, just getting ready for this. Watch this. Let me see if I can get it to work. Okay. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Is it going to work?
Oh.
It's gonna happen.
Are you felling a tree?
That's what happens here.
Uh-oh, heads up.
Oh, what a mess.
I could have lost a podcast partner there. Oh my goodness, Michel Bryant, as I'm going to call your counterpart, Michael Bryant, my Emmy Award-winning pod partner, and then Michel Bryant, the person who was out there felling the trees. Why did you kill that tree, Michael?
It was dead. It was dead already. And sometimes you want to control where it falls rather than on your house.
Or on your dog.
Or on your dog. We had one last year that fell on a car we had parked out there. Luckily, it just, customized it, but it didn't
customize your car.
It's got a couple of dents here and there, and it was my kid's car. So
yeah.
Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's all right. We digress here because we want to have you feel comfortable. Ask your questions. As you see, we're normal people. We have normal lives. We may try cases. We may be on the pod, but let me just tell you, we have normal lives, but we stand by our reporting in our normal lives. Okay. Lawler and Amber, I can't recall. Does defense ask for directed verdict before presenting their case in chief? You see that? That was you going.
Yeah, I thought you were going to answer. I was just nodding.
I know, but you were nodding. You were going. Yeah, yes. Yeah. They asked for it, and they also asked for it at the end of the whole case before it actually goes to the jury. And the reasons for this are, it's so ridiculous. You have to ask for it if you appeal everything but a non-constitutional issue. You have to ask for it under court rules. And there's been lawyers who have forgotten to ask for it, right? And then all of a sudden, their appellate counsel looks and says, "Well, you can't."
Thanks for handcuffing me for not doing that. And then even after both sides rest, even after the jury comes back with a verdict, you could make a motion for a judgment notwithstanding the verdict. You're then asking the judge to overrule the jury, to say, folks, you got it wrong.
Right.
And so all those avenues are available.
And then sometimes that happens in a civil case, especially when the judges will say, well, I am diminishing your damages that you just got of, 500,000. I'm going to use a round figure. You can accept 50,000, or I'm going to order a new trial on this motion for a new trial. You see that a lot more in
very powerful
cases. Yes. Okay. There was a video. I can't recall the defense asked for the verdict. Let's go. I just want to go. Yes. Can't wait to see the end result. That's after I renovated an old hospital into a B&B. That's because of your bathroom that's being renovated, right? That's because of the bathroom. Yeah, yes. Okay. Yes, we are. By the way, we're going to keep restating in as we do this that we stand by our reporting as to what has gone on in that courtroom. Okay, we stand by it, and if you want to attack us personally, attack Justice Serve TV personally. Don't hide behind your words to try to shield you. You know, there is something if you attack somebody inappropriately. There's a lot of defamation suits these days. Have you noticed that, Michael Bryant? You know, as
Oh
far
yeah.
as this, I think that that, as a matter of fact, whether you like President Trump or dislike President Trump, you're seeing a lot of news media settling defamation suits, even about how they're reporting and cutting items, right?
Oh
To
yeah.
make it
Yeah, the
seem
CBS 60 Minutes
inappropriate.
interview. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
costly for
it's going to
CBS.
be,
CNN paid money. ABC
yeah.
paid money. Yeah. Uh,
So
Let me ask you this. Everybody take
yeah.
a step back from, what our sources have told us. Is it a shock in this case, based on what you know and what you've seen, that that might have taken place in the background? No, it's not. There are many cases in which you might say, that sounds kind of odd to me. It seems like it's pretty even and the prosecution seems to be doing well. That's not this case. So if you just look at it in a vacuum and analyze the material that we have sourced and provided, it makes perfect sense. That would not be a shocker to anybody. So,
Right, considering what I would have problems with as a prosecutor. Remember, I was a prosecutor for a number of years, and I was a trial team leader, and I did trial one of the earliest death penalty cases that when the death penalty was rolled back in New Jersey. So I'm no, I don't shy away from being a prosecutor. I don't shy away from difficult cases, whether prosecution or defense. But I would be very concerned about the statements on the tape. Number one, that this was self-defense. The statements that this wasn't my voice. The statements that I picked up the shell casings. I went back and got them, not knowing the police had been there and canvassed the area. The fact that there was no visit to the hospital beforehand. But most importantly, the whole conversation tape about the you got to have the bag. To get the bag, you got to have a lawyer, or else they call it extortion. And I'm paraphrasing that. And to me, that's a real problematic statement. Okay. I probably want to get ethics counsel on it. If I were going to take the case civilly, I would want to get ethics counsel on it, and all, because I think that's a real problematic. So yes, if you put those together, would it be a surprise given the testimony, Michael Bryan? What do you think? Are you
well,
surprised?
I think it would be a surprise in any case. I really do. I just think that when it's normally a 1% chance of likelihood, it could be 50-50 in this case. It's that outrageous what we've seen and what we now know. So, yeah. So, surprised? Yeah, I'd still be surprised because it's a very, very strong remedy. And again,
Well, you'd be
court,
surprised for the directed verdict, but you wouldn't be
yes.
surprised to find the judge said,
No,
"Could
of
do you
course
want to
not.
reconsider, Mr. Prosecutor, or
Of
Mr.
course
Mrs.
not.
Prosecutor,
And,
about what you go forward? Do you want to reconsider now about whether you're going to go forward?" You wouldn't be surprised about that.
no, well, of course, and that's why we've double sourced what we know to be consistent with that. So that again, on its face, why would that surprise anybody? I just think that's odd based on the facts of this case. So
Yeah. A number of people are saying timber down to you, Michael. Yeah. And that could also apply to the prosecution's case, given what we're
you're
talking about.
you're right.
Timber,
You're
or
right.
Missy Mayhem, very clever. Michael, Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, all of these have a double entendre here, given what we're speaking about here.
That's true.
But yes, we're still on break. We are monitoring. We know you want to see the trial, but we give you a chance to talk about it. Now, Milo's mom also says the use of self-defense is self. Remember, I asked to look back, given the fact you brought this first up. Yes, definitely use the self-defense in summations. It explains Rocky on the video pulling out a gun. Interesting, because that's the fallback position, right? That if he pulled out a gun, it's because it was self-defense. Or maybe the defense didn't want to go there to begin with, but certainly it's been raised. It's been raised. Check. It's like, okay, here's the answers. Yes, no, I don't know. Okay. Pick one.
Yeah.
Michael Bryant, pick a defense.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. You mean you don't know? That means the prosecution hasn't proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. If you're saying you don't know, okay.
There are so many problems with the defense case. It's really if I mean with the prosecution case, if you're on the defense, it's it's like Christmas. there are so many packages to open up that help defend your client. It's almost at some point you might be thinking, this can't all be falling this way. It can't be that easy. You know how it is when you're in trial. I say in trial because I'm from California. You guys out here say on trial, right? You say on trial?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
weird. Anyway,
We're on trial.
so when I'm in
Because
trial, you're
in
always
trial.
thinking,
Mm.
how, what am I missing, right?
Right.
This
Exactly.
can't be going this way. What am I missing? When's the tree going to fall on my head? You know, and so I have to think that Mr. Tacopina has some of those thoughts. He's just they're out there spinning around because it's going pretty well for you.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Motion to Scream has to go back to work. Oh, Miss Shorty, give a shout out to Miss Shorty.
Oh, Miss
We're
Shorty.
yeah,
Let's
we're gonna
see.
try. We're trying to. What time is it? All see what?
It's 16
12,
hours
16 hours.
later there.
Okay, we're
So is
trying to
that 10
work out.
a.m.?
We're trying to work out some way we can either pre-tape or somehow get the time periods together so we can do a show together. The Shorty is very gracious, calling out our show all the time, running our show in her stream, and I quite frankly, it's kind of interesting listening to the comments from the Aussies, right? The
It
Aussies.
is. It is
Uh,
interesting to see how they see our system down under. Obviously, their system for the most part came from the UK, but ours did too. So there's tremendous similarities. So it's interesting to see, what the take is down there.
Yeah, thank you, Missy. I guess our producer who works so hard, her and Dizzy Jen. And believe it or not, they're going all day. I mean, I can barely keep up with them. They're
I
going.
know it's
This is
crazy.
their favorite place too. We love having you. We're young, but we think that we're mighty because we have mighty viewers. Miles Mom, people just want to hate. You both have integrity and aren't into the clickbait. Yeah, I know. It's the most
And
amazing
we,
thing.
we clearly don't have the clickbait thing figured out. That's obvious. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and we've said about that generally the podcast community we have found because we're young and we're entering it. When Law and Crime decided before Law and Crime decided they were going to get rid of their anchors, and by the way, we both have full-time legal jobs. Michael and I, he's got a side job of obviously renovation and felling trees,
Those are
but
just hobbies. Yeah.
hobbies. Okay, my hobby is poker, as you all know. Um, but we started out. We had dinner and let's do something. And we were doing like 7 minutes a week on a Thursday. On a subject like that
Yeah.
was it. And then all of a sudden, after Long Crime said they weren't going to have hosts anymore. We said, well, we can now do anything. We are not like in a box. Not only can we talk about cases, we can talk about politics, we can talk about fashion, we can talk about shoes,
And
we can
we
talk
were
about
we
Michael
were
Bryant
very
Street.
deferential to Law and Crime at the time we were doing both because
Yes,
we
right.
weren't looking to step on their toes, or I think there would have been an opportunity to cross promote, but we didn't infringe on that relationship. So when that ended, why not?
Yeah, and we've been doing a lot of other things because that we wouldn't be allowed to do in a podcast in like a normal over the top network. We're a podcast here streaming on YouTube. As you know, that the new regime in the White House has recognized this alternative
Really?
media as mainstream media now, because most of the people get their news from X, believe it or not, X and YouTube, the biggest
Look
ones
at
in the
our
world.
press passes come in from Norfolk County. Fine.
Oh,
It's
really?
finally no, it is not.
For
No.
people that don't know, tell the story about our press passes for the Karen Reed trial.
Okay, so we applied, we were denied, and it's because, according to their note, that they don't recognize YouTube as media, which is about as dumb a statement as I've heard in some time. You could say the courtroom is, about the size of your bathroom, so we can't give enough press passes. That I would have at least believed that, but not. We don't recognize YouTube as media. So, by the way, I was up there last week, and I had a chance to talk to the attorney for Ms. Gretchen Voss. She was the reporter with, and is the reporter with Boston Magazine. The judge was deciding whether or not to give the prosecution her notes. They had already given the prosecution her interviews, the recordings, but not her personal notes. And the judge said, yes, you are turning those over. The judge got the notes. A motion for reconsideration was filed by Ms. Voss. And I was saying, well, that's a loser. My analogy is you can't ask your mom, hey, can I stay up late? And then 10 minutes later, ask her again, can I stay up late? Your motion for reconsideration is asking the court to reconsider what it's already
Yeah,
decided.
right,
And it's
right.
generally a dead bang loser. And so I spoke with her attorney, Mr. Birsch, I think it's pronounced, that's a German name, outside the courthouse after he had made his argument. Well, now we know that the judge has granted the motion to reconsider, and those notes will not be turned over to the prosecution. So I'm going to talk to him later this week. We'll have that for you, I think, on Friday, just to give him an attaboy and, kind of see
Did a great
what he
job.
thinks is going on. Yeah.
That goes back to where this all started from, which is I wanted to say that when we started our podcast, the podcast community is a very, and right now, maybe because it's small, an embracing community, especially if the lawyers are on, especially if lawyers are running podcasts. We can't thank Bob Mata from Defense Diaries enough for not only giving us his peoples, I'll say that, but for steering us into a better platform, a better way to put exhibits up on the screen for you all, and answering every single question we have, and sometimes coming on the show. And we've been trying to do a joint with Bob, but Bob is so busy, and he really owns that Richard Allen case. No one should interfere or step on that, because he's got that case. I mean, he knows the ins and outs, and he spent time while it's being tried out there, a large commitment. And so and Allie, his wife, is also very gracious on the pod. And then everybody, a lot of other people, gracious with their podcasts. So
it is very, coming from, decades in the traditional broadcast world, it ain't that way. It's a backstabbing kind of profession. So different than what's going on online. And I hope it stays that way.
For the most part.
Well, yeah, aside from a couple of snipes here and there, but in general, it's very collaborative. People are happy to help, and it's just a very interesting form of media, and it is a form of media, Norfolk County, that does not compare to what is now the withering, commercial broadcast field. TV stations are dying, shows are dying, budgets are being cut, and that's because this is the future.
This is the future, and right now, again, the lawyers who are doing these law shows and the crime shows. By the way, I should have to announce that I will be on Julie Grant tomorrow at 8:15 in the morning from Court TV. And Missy, we probably should do a promo for that. I don't know if Julie's put it out already, and I will be discussing our exclusive breaking news that we've had 2 times about what's been going on in the courtroom, and about our reporting about whether or not the prosecutors should consider going forward with their case. So I will be there tomorrow morning. Michael Bryant will be getting the shows ready, so he won't be joining me. But Julie Grant, one of my favorite people on all the earth, with her new puppy, right? And from Court TV. And again, talk about embracing the communities. They have embraced us, and Julie has embraced us.
We appreciate that. And 50 Cent, is 50 Cent going to come on anytime soon?
I don't know. We probably should invite. Let me just, in case you didn't know, 50 Cent picked up our I should say post. I keep wanting to say tweet, because when you say tweet, you know exactly that it's on X now, right?
Right.
So I kind of like put X tweet or whatever, a next tweet, I guess. But I know that Elon Musk calls it a post. It picked it up, that, and on Instagram, and has sent it out to his followers, 50 Cent. So we hope to have him hopefully on the show at some point, or any other show that he feels that he can go on. But he's
basically,
very
you remember what he said. He put our notice out there. Then he said something like, he should be free. Everybody just wants to see Rihanna, or something like that. We're all just watching this so we can see Rihanna.
I loved it. We're all watching to see Rihanna. But who doesn't want to see Rihanna? Okay, I was watching the Grammys the other night only because I wanted to see all the passion. I want to see Rihanna. She's fabulous. I mean, she's wonderful. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of people may disagree with me, but she's fabulous. And yes, we're going to have an invitation for both Mr. Lewin and Mr. Tacopino to come on after their gags, or either of them come on. I see that Missy's looking for Joe. I understand that the Aussies are in the Shorty's place are also looking for Joe to come on, it seems to me. But Walnut says, love sharing our experience. We love sharing our experience with you. As you know, pretty much everything is on, not off limits. I said that kind of backwards, didn't I? Everything is not all. It's like this is how we cross-examine when the judge says, "Wait a second, don't ask that double negative question."
That's right. There's a lot of that. Didn't you do this? Isn't that correct? And wait a minute. Yeah.
7:37 a.m. in Melbourne right now. I guess is.
Oh, I was way off there. But it is. Is that 16 hours? No, that's 15 hours.
Oh, Moon Goddess, good day. Miss Shorty recommended your channel to me. Well, thank you for taking her
Moon
recommendation.
Goddess.
Thank you. What a great name.